everyone, it's Kayla, and today I wanted to discuss what I want to read for sure in 2017. I have 10 books here. They're not in any particular order. As you'll see as we go through these 10 choices, my reading tastes are still all over the place. I still enjoy middle grade, I still enjoy contemporary, I still enjoy adult fantasy, and of course I enjoy comics. So let's just jump into it. This is the most random top 10 list that you'll ever see, I promise. I actually only put one comic on this pile, and it's because normally I just read comics whenever, so I wanted to focus more on books. But the one comic that I did put on this pile that is a must-read for me in 2017 was Chilean by Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire wrote Sweet Tooth, which is one of my favorite series of all time, one of my favorite comic series of all time, and it was my favorite comic of last year, so I've decided that I'm going to read everything Jeff Lemire ever wrote, which is, you know, understandable. And this is a space opera, I believe. It's about a guy who's searching for a cure for a plague called Trillium, and while he's on his search, I believe he meets a woman who's from another dimension, and they fall in love, I'm pretty sure. It might be a love story, I'm not sure. But anywho, I love Jeff Lemire's art style. It's choppy, but I mean, I'm looking at it and it reminds me of Sweet Tooth's art style. This is like straight out of Sweet Tooth, not gonna lie. We have The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch, and I actually started reading this about 2 or 3 years ago, and I got about 40% through, but I hit a massive reading slump. I didn't want my reading slump to impact how I felt about this book, and that's kind of what happened to me when I first tried to read The Name of the Wind a few years ago, and I stopped. I started again and I loved it, so hopefully that happens with this one. This is essentially a heist story set in a fantasy world, and I am just so excited for it. And I loved what I read originally, so I'm sure that I'll love it and I'll continue with the series. I believe this is supposed to be a 10-book series after it's all completed, but only 3 books are out, so I might be like 70 by the time the series is completed, but it's a good investment. It's a good investment. Next up on my list is My Brilliant Friend and the Neapolitan Novels by Elena Ferrante. I'm actually currently reading this, and I know that Max from Well Done Books and Mari from My Name is Marina's loved this book last year. It's about a friendship through the ages growing up in 1950s Italy, and yeah, I cannot wait to dive deep into this series. And I've read about 50 pages so far, and I've already ordered the other 3 based on those 50 pages, so I'm really excited about completing this and feeling all the feels and everything that goes with it. So yes, I'm so excited to be reading this series. The next book on my list is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This story is about the crew of the Wayfarer, and the Wayfarer contains so many different creatures and species, and it's so diverse, the cast of characters, and I'm so here for it. I feel like this is a more character-driven novel, but it has a sci-fi backdrop, which is fantastic. The next book on my list is Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. The blurb says it's a remarkable novel of race, love, and identity. I'm pretty sure the story revolves around a couple from Nigeria. They're separated. The woman ends up in America and the guy ends up in London, and it's post 9/11, and it just sounds fantastic, and I can't wait to read this. Definitely switching gears here, but the next book on my list is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. This is book 1, The Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in his Norse mythology series, and I cannot believe that I haven't read this yet. I am shamed to say that I haven't read this yet, and there's even a second book out in this series and I haven't read it yet. Like, what? But even more shameful than not reading a Rick Riordan book is not reading a Ray Carson book on the day it comes out, which was about 4 months ago. It's been 4 months! This is the second book in her Gold Seer trilogy. It's about a girl named Leah who can sense gold in the earth in the gold rush of America back in the 1850s, I believe. So obviously, since she can sense gold, that presents a problem if people find out about her power. And this is the second book. I loved the first book. It was so immersive and the world building was so excellent. You actually felt like you were living in 1850s America. You felt like a female living in 1850s America, and I just can't wait to read this. But I guess I was slumping so hard that I didn't read a Ray Carson book. Like, it just blows my mind, people. So yeah, this is like priority number 1. Next on my list, we have Ink and Bone by Rachel Kane. This is book 1 of the Great Library trilogy or series, I believe. I know book 2 recently came out. I don't own it, but I've owned this for about 2 years now. It's alternate history. The Great Alexandria Library has survived the test of time. and I just think that's fantastic. And no one talks about this series, and I really like finding hidden gems, so I'm hoping that this is one of them. I also want to read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. Everyone who has read this has raved about it, so I can't wait to see what all the fuss is about. This cover is absolutely beautiful, and I hope it reflects the story inside of it. I really enjoyed her debut, Everything Everything, last year. I thought it was a great contemporary. The writing style was excellent. The way the story was told was unique, and so I'm really excited to dive into this one. And last but certainly not least, I definitely want to read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms by George R.R. Martin. This is a collection of 3 short stories. These stories follow 2 characters, Dunk and Egg. Dunk is actually Sir Duncan the Tall, who is a knight, and Egg is actually Aegon Targaryen the Conqueror. So this is about 100 years before the events of A Song of Ice and Fire, and people rave about this. People rave about their 3 adventures together, so I'm really excited to read this finally. The fact that I haven't read this yet is eating away at me, and I want to complete my reread of A Song of Ice and Fire completely, including A Dance with Dragons, before I get to this. So that's happening this year, and I'm very excited about it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Let me know below what you plan on reading this year. Let me know below if you've read any of the books that I've just mentioned, and let me know what you think about them, and I will see you all soon with another video. Bye!